Hey, what's up team, and welcome to the 5-minute guide for Shadow Priest. The Shadow Priest is an easy caster which uses dark and shadow manipulated magic and the power of the void to infiltrate their target's mind and kill them from the inside out. It excels at 2 and 3 target cleave, with its multi-dotting giving it more resources and increasing its overall damage. The talents for Shadow Priests are largely the same for single target and AoE, with one key difference. In AoE we want to take Dark Void, letting us apply Shadow Word Pain to everything in a large group, particularly strong for Reaping and Mythic Plus. And for single target we want to take Twist of Fate, letting us have a stronger execute phase, which we wouldn't otherwise have with the 2 other choices. Shadow revolves around generating enough of our resource, Insanity, to cast Void Eruption and enter Void form, which drains our Insanity over time at an ever increasing rate, reduces the cooldown of Shadow Word Void, increases spell damage, replaces Void Eruption with Void Bolt, and gives us a stacking haste buff which goes up 1 stack every second that we remain in Void form. The longer that we can manage to stay in Void form, the better. We generate Insanity with all of our rotational abilities that aren't Void Eruption. So that's Shadow Word Void, Mind Flay, Mind Seer, Vampiric Touch, Shadow Word Pain, Shadow Fiend, and when in Void form, Void Bolt. Upon reaching 0 Insanity, we will leave Void form. We should immediately then work towards generating enough Insanity with these abilities to cast Void Eruption again and re-enter it as quick as possible. This can suck sometimes on Fortified Week for Mythic Plus if you aren't doing really high keys, as the boss won't live long enough for you to catch up to the other DPS, who will generally have high burst cooldowns to pop at the start of the fight. Don't worry though, once the fight passes 2 minutes, you'll see yourself catch up to the other DPS, and even overtake them. More than other specs, I feel like Shadow favours haste very heavily. So much so that the spec feels way more fun with high levels of haste. So if you're not having fun, try to get your haste over 1100 or so, and you'll see that it feels a lot better when you can cast your dots faster and spend more time in Void form. Now that we've covered the core of the spec, we can start to go over what we should prioritise in our rotations for both single target and for AoE. In single target, it's pretty simple. Pretty much we want to maintain our dots, Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch. Cast Shadow Word Void on cooldown, cast Void Eruption whenever you have the Insanity to do so, and, once in Void form, cast Void Bolt on cooldown. Fill with Mind Flay. Also, make sure to use Shadow Fiend with as much haste as possible. Keep in mind that it also generates Insanity, so you can use it to stay in Void form longer. To put it simply, you want to get into Void form as quickly as possible. Then, once you're in it, you want to generate as much Insanity as you can by keeping your dots up, and using anything else you can on cooldown, filling with Mind Flay when you have nothing else to press. AoE is a bit more complex for Shadow Priest, as it changes a bit based on how many things you're fighting. For 2 to 5 targets, you pretty much want to use the same priority as single target, except that you want to use Dark Void to apply Shadow Word Pain, keeping Vampiric Touch up on everything, casting Shadow Word Void up to 3 targets, and casting Mind Seer to fill. When we move past this up to 5 to 10 targets, we want to maintain Vampiric Touch on 5 targets, still using Dark Void to apply Shadow Word Pain, and still casting Mind Seer to fill. Once we go past 10 targets, we stop applying Vampiric Touch altogether, only using Dark Void to apply Shadow Word Pain to everything, and again, filling with Mind Seer. Throughout all of these AoE rotations, we still want to be entering Void form, keeping in mind that Void Bolt will extend the duration of all of our dots. If the enemies will live long enough, we definitely want to do this. Due to the nature of Void form, and the distinct lack of cooldowns that Shadow Priest has, the opener is not very complex at all. However, I'll still go over it so that it can be communicated clearly what our goal is in the first few moments of combat. So, we want to precast with Shadow Word Void, apply Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch, cast Shadow Word Void, and then, as early as possible, enter Void form with Void Eruption. At the end of that cast, immediately cast Void Bolt and then begin your normal rotation. Simple as that. The Shadow Priest is one I never used to spend much time on, but having played it a fair bit throughout the creation of this guide, I can tell you that it is really fun. If you enjoy the multi-dotting playstyle, with high haste it actually pops off, and things like Dark Void and Void Eruption in Reaping Waves are actually a sight to behold. Trust me, they are awesome. Anyway team, that has been the Shadow Priest. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit that sub button and stick around for my future guides. If you want to ask me a question or just say hi, I'm live 6 nights a week over at twitch.tv/Jactus. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope this guide helped, and I will see you in the next one.